500 people move to Dallas-Fort Worth every single day, 4 million new residents in just over a decade. Texas built the most celebrated growth engine in America. But beneath every new subdivision and corporate relocation, something critical is vanishing. The Ogallala Aquifer has lost 70% of its water in key zones. The Rio Grande's flow has dropped 25%. The Texas boom is now racing toward an end that no tax break can stop. Texas stands as the nation's ultimate growth story. In just over a decade, 4 million new residents have arrived, swelling the state's population past 30 million. The Austin metro area has nearly doubled since 2000, while Dallas-Fort Worth absorbs around 500 newcomers every single day, enough to fill a new high school every week. This surge is not just a byproduct of chance, it is the engine behind the Texas model. With no state income tax, limited corporate levies, and famously light regulation, Texas has built a fiscal system that depends on constant expansion. Every new household, every business relocation means more sales tax, more property tax, and more franchise tax revenue. Streams that now account for nearly 3/4 of local government budgets. The numbers are staggering. Between 2010 and 2024, the state's population grew by about 15%, outpacing the nation and fueling a construction sector that added over $60 billion a year to the economy. In Austin, growth rates have hovered above 3% annually for 2 decades, pushing the city's footprint deep into sensitive recharge zones. Dallas-Fort Worth's daily influx alone translates to nearly 180,000 new residents each year, placing relentless pressure on housing, infrastructure, and municipal services. For policymakers and planners, these gains are more than a point of pride, they are a necessity. Texas's entire revenue architecture is built on the assumption that tomorrow will bring more people, more development, and more taxable activity than today. But this promise of unending prosperity carries a hidden cost. Each new arrival increases the demand for water, a resource that underpins every home, business, and field. The Texas growth model, celebrated for decades, now finds itself tethered to the realities of finite supply. Behind the headlines of Texas's record growth, the state's water supplies tell a different story, a story measured not in optimism, but in feet, gallons, and vanishing reserves. In the Texas Panhandle, the Ogallala Aquifer, once a vast underground reservoir supporting generations of farming, has lost up to 70% of its original water in the most heavily pumped counties. According to Texas Water Development Board scientists, annual withdrawals now exceed natural recharge by as much as 3 times. Farmers are drilling deeper every year, chasing water that is quite literally running out. Central Texas faces its own reckoning. The Edwards Aquifer, a lifeline for cities like Austin and San Antonio, is officially classified as critical. Emergency restrictions have become routine, triggered when annual pumping outpaces sustainable yield by more than 15%. Drought and rapid urban sprawl into recharge zones have accelerated the decline, forcing cities to enact tiered bans on water use and halt new development in some areas. Surface water is not faring better. The Rio Grande, once a dependable artery for West Texas and El Paso, now delivers about 25% less water than it did at the start of the century. Record low flows in recent years have forced nearly 400,000 residents and countless farms to curtail use or seek alternative sources. Reservoirs are shrinking too. Lakes Travis and Buchanan, which supply the fast-growing Austin region, have dropped an average of 12 feet below their normal levels over the past decade. The Lower Colorado River Authority warns that if current trends persist, these lakes could reach unusable dead pool status within the next 5 to 7 years. The numbers are stark. Texas is approaching a hard ceiling, not just on water, but on the very growth it has long taken for granted. On the outskirts of Lubbock, the Miller family farm once stretched across 500 acres of irrigated cotton, anchored by wells that reached the Ogallala Aquifer at 150 feet. By 2022, those wells had to plunge more than twice as deep, over 320 feet, just to reach what little water remained. Pump failures became routine, and annual water costs soared past $120,000. The miller's yields dropped from £1,200 per acre in 2010 to just £850 a decade later. Faced with mounting losses, the family posted a video diary announcing the end of their cotton operation, switching to dry-land sorghum and letting 2 members leave for jobs in Austin's tech sector. Their story is not unique. Across the High Plains, cotton yields have fallen by up to 30% since 2015. Cattle herds in the Panhandle have shrunk by nearly 20% as feed crops wither and water becomes too expensive to pump. Local groundwater boards have responded with hard limits. Since 2018, 11 counties have imposed caps on pumping, some as low as 0 to 150 acre-feet per year per permit. 4 counties have halted new well drilling entirely. These restrictions kick in when aquifer levels drop below 30% of their historic average, or when annual drawdown exceeds 5% of sustainable yield. For many rural communities, these caps are not just numbers on paper. They mean fewer acres planted, fewer cattle on feed, and fewer jobs in towns already fighting to survive. The first domino has fallen. As water runs dry, the foundation of Texas's agricultural economy is being quietly dismantled. San Antonio's water manager spends more time these days enforcing bans than planning new pipelines. In the summer of 2023, the city entered Tier 3 restrictions after the Edwards Aquifer fell below 1,250 feet. Outdoor watering was cut by 20%, and new residential development permits were frozen in high-risk zones. Utility data show average household use fell from 13,400 gallons a month in 2015 to just under 10,000 gallons by 2023. A sharp drop driven by mandatory rationing, not just conservation tips. Austin, facing a shrinking Lake Travis, halted new building permits in March 2023. The City Council cited anticipated water supply deficits as the reason, after reservoir levels dipped toward 35% capacity. For some neighborhoods, this meant construction sites stalled overnight. Residents watched as city dashboards tracked water use in real time, tying daily consumption to the fate of the region's main reservoir. El Paso has gone further than any other Texas city, shifting to a 100% potable reuse system by 2022. Every drop of wastewater is purified and returned to the tap, a necessity as the Rio Grande delivers less water each year. Meanwhile, in Houston's Katy and Cypress suburbs, USGS surveys document land sinking by up to 5 centimeters a year. The culprit is decades of heavy groundwater pumping. Homeowners have filed lawsuits against the city seeking millions for property damage linked to subsidence. Insurance claims for structural cracks and shifting foundations are up 14% since 2022, adding a financial strain to the physical one. For city residents across Texas, water stress is no longer theoretical. It is reshaping daily life, home values, and the stability of entire neighborhoods. Temperatures across Texas are rising faster than the national average. State climatologists have tracked a 3.7-degree jump in average summer highs since 1990, pushing heat waves deeper into the calendar and stretching droughts to record lengths. In the 1990s, a typical Texas drought lasted about 45 days each year. Now, the annual average is closer to 80 days, almost double. Hydrologists point to a sharp increase in evaporation rates, with annual water loss from soil and reservoirs up 13% since the turn of the century. That means less rain actually reaches rivers and aquifers, and more of what does fall comes in brief, intense bursts instead of steady patterns. Climate models run by the Texas state climatologist and the latest CMI P6 projections suggest the future will be even hotter and drier. By 2035, Central Texas could see annual temperatures rise another 4 degrees Fahrenheit. Peak summer evaporation could top 38 inches per year, draining lakes and shrinking groundwater faster than any time in recorded history. Hydrological simulations translate these changes into water balance deficits of 4 to 6 billion acre-feet each year, enough to push major reservoirs like Travis and Buchanan to unusable levels within a decade unless dramatic action is taken. These numbers are not just forecasts, they are warning signs that the state's water ceiling is dropping even faster than anyone predicted. Developers across Texas are now facing a new kind of stop sign: water availability. In the Austin suburbs, a $1.2 billion mixed-use project was shelved after city planners determined that existing supplies could not meet projected demand. In San Antonio, a 3,500-unit master-planned community was put on indefinite hold when the Texas Water Development Board warned of a looming 5-year deficit. These are not isolated setbacks. Internal memos from planning departments document a wave of postponed or cancelled housing developments, with roughly 15% of planned units in some counties delayed or scrapped since 2022. The ripple effect lands squarely on homeowners. Real estate data show home values in high water stress zones dropping 6 to 8% compared to nearby markets with stable supplies. Corporate boardrooms are taking notice. In 2021, Samsung commissioned a water risk study for its Austin area operations. The findings prompted a shift to Dallas, where water sources are more reliable. Tesla's Austin Gigafactory paused expansion plans until Lake Travis rose above a critical threshold. Google selected El Paso for a $500 million data center, citing its 100% wastewater recycling system. These decisions, disclosed in SEC filings, treat water risk as a material financial factor, on par with taxes and labor costs. Migration patterns are starting to reflect these pressures. Surveys of recent California arrivals in 2024 show water reliability ranking among the top 3 concerns for families choosing where to settle. Net migration into Texas slowed to 0.5% in 2023, down from 1% 5 years earlier. For a state whose budget and business model depend on relentless growth, these economic dominoes signal a profound vulnerability. The cost of inaction is written in stalled construction, falling property values, and corporate investments that are increasingly looking elsewhere. Today, Texas's economic future is measured not just in jobs or rooftops, but in acre-feet and rainfall. The limits are no longer theoretical. They are arriving in real time. Growth now depends on water, and the countdown has already begun.